So, in this video we're going to be looking at Nparticles. So, in the top left we change this to FX. Similar to where we find Encloth, we have one called Nparticles. So the ones we're going to use is the emitter and also emit from object. So the emitter itself, if I pull it up from the ground and press play, it's going to drop some particles. They're just points for now. So in the top right we got the attribute editor, or you can press Ctrl A on your keyboard to toggle it on and off. Here's where we have all our settings. So the emitter itself is basic things like how do we want it to come out, whether it be surfaces, the type of coning that takes place for the particles to spawn. The one that we actually want to play around with is the particle shape. So if I go into shading and change this to spheres, for example, you can see I've got a completely different shape. It's got sprites. So what sprites are going to do, this is how they're done in games pretty much. All it is basically a plane, and it follows the camera position. So currently this is not following it. What the sprites are doing, if I move my camera, this will always face wherever my camera is. So the cool thing about this is that we can add our own custom texture to them. So for example, if we're making smoke, we can easily make a smoke texture to kind of give the illusion of smoke. So we've also got things like particle size. This does not really affect sprite cards, so if we change this back to spheres and play around with the particle size, it's going to determine how big they are. So something else, as you can see, our particles are falling past the grid. So if we go into nucleus 1, and where it says ground plane, I press use plane. What's going to happen now, when it hits that plane, they're going to stop. Just building a kind of weird circle. So there is also a section where we can tell it to self-collide. So what's going to happen now? They're going to start colliding with each other, like a little ball pit, in a sense. So, we've got all these different things that we can do within these options. So for example, to count how many particles you actually want to spawn, as well as various other things, so like lifespan. If it's live forever, they won't die, they will just keep going. Obviously it's based on your timeline, so how long this is. So if I play it, they're going to live for the entire 200 frames, which means in the end I'll just have loads of balls. Yeah. So what we can do instead, we can set it to a constant value of 1, so that's 1 second. So currently I'm at 24 frames per second. So when it reaches 24, whatever balls are spawned at the start will die. So every second, whatever balls are spawned will die straight after. Then we've got random range, so I can have it between 4 seconds and 1 second. So now some will live for 4 seconds, some will live for just over 1. So it's random on how that killed off. So what we are going to do is, I'm just going to show you force fields. And in the next video we're going to make a custom smoke to come out of your exhaust, as well as some parenting. So what we can do, so in the last video we used filters and solvers. So I set turbulence in this one, and turn this down, so quite similar settings. So what's going to happen, they're going to throw out at random angles. So the cool thing about particles is that I can update this as I'm playing it, and I'll get different looks. So say for example at the very start, I want it to be quite uniform, kind of dropping down. At frame 1, so up here we have our turbulence field. So at frame 1, if I set a key and I want it to stay at the same magnitude until frame 90, So right click, set key again. So at 145, I might want to turn this down and then set another key. So what's going to happen is it's going to be all normal. Once it gets past that certain point, it's going to flip up. So we're changing what value is actually affecting it. So it hasn't got to be, okay, I wanted to have this amount of gravity for this long. We can play around with these values when how we feel. So we've also got another one which is gravity, which is here. So if I turn gravity off, they're all going to float up, and then the turbulence will kick in. So I can change the slider. So what we will do at frame 1, I will set a key, and also at 80-ish, right click, set key. When it gets to 95, I'm going to turn the gravity all the way up. So suddenly everything that's now flying, you're just going to throw straight to the floor, and it will carry on building. So you can do some really cool things. The only thing that you'll probably have issues with is the fact that Particles is broken up into so many sections. So you got nucleus 1, you got your emitter. But the main ones you're going to be editing whatever field you've added, particle shape, as well as the nucleus.